Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine, the only podcast about forgotten movies that probably needs to stop writing our SOS pleas on bed sheets. I am your host, Landon Solano, possessing the body of Truman Caps, joined always by my co-host, Truman Caps, possessing the body of Landon Solano. Truman, it's good to see you.
Landon, it's unfortunate to be you because I'm realizing I could have possessed a lot of different bodies, and there's nothing wrong with yours. I'm just saying there's other people I could be, and I feel like I already know you pretty well.
We did a good old-fashioned body swap here. We both touched one of those cursed skulls that the machine spit out at us, entering us into the spooky dimension, and here we are, inhabiting different bodies.
Landon is lying to you, or by which I mean, I guess, my soul speaking through Landon's body is lying to you. You know very well, we both peed in the same fountain, like in the famous, wildly influential movie The Change-Up, I believe, with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman, that I saw on a terrible date once. I think that's the thing about the spooky dimension. You never know which thing is going to be cursed. We thought it was the skull, so we stayed away from the skull. We didn't pee on the skull. We peed in the fountain, and now here we are.
That's right. It was when we peed on the skull. We both argued, and we're like, I just wish I could be you for one day. And then you said that, and then we both had to pee, and then there was a skull there. We both touched the skull, and then we peed on the skull because we were drunk for some reason. Then it happened.
But also we should have known better because what sets the movie Leprechaun 4 in space in motion? It's a guy peeing on the leprechaun's skull. Folks, if you have to pee, learn from our mistake. Do it in the proper designated place.
Same thing happens in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, where a dog pees on the bones of Freddy and brings him back. So
I feel like if you're in a horror movie, peeing is one of the worst things you can do. You are either setting yourself up to get killed because you've gone away from the rest of the group, or you're setting yourself up to get body swapped.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I'm still waiting to see the body swap movie where the people swap bodies and the experience teaches them absolutely nothing.
I think we need more movies where characters learn nothing. They go through an experience and it was just an inconvenience for them. I guess that's the movie Gran Torino.
That's Gran Torino. That's The Big Lebowski. Does anybody learn anything in My Dinner with Andre? I still have not gotten around to it, but is it just like, that was a fucked up dinner?
Well, it's the audience that's supposed to interpret that for themselves, I think.
The real heroes here, the audience.
The audience is the one who changes by the end of it.
Oh, I see. The audience has been fortunate enough to swap bodies with Wallace Shawn. Is Wallace Shawn in today's movie, Landon?
No, Wallace Shawn. Would this movie be improved with Wallace Shawn? Yes, the answer is yes, because that's the answer to every movie if Wallace Shawn was in it.
Yeah, exactly. Antichrist, The Big Lebowski.
Yes.
All could do with Wallace Shawn.
Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly. He's
as Scarlett Johansson and Hawkeye are. Scarlett Johansson's not playing a character; she's just playing herself. Are going up the cliff to meet Red Skull, and they just happen upon Wallace Shawn swapping cups with Wesley. In the background, it doesn't even have to be a foreground character.
Yeah, it's not a body swapping movie. It's a cup swapping movie. I also thought that when you said as Scarlett Johansson before you kept talking, I thought you meant that Wallace Shawn would be playing Scarlett Johansson's character.
Well,
okay. Respectful silence. Right. Respectful silence.
Yeah. Okay. It's something my brain has to process. Wallace Shawn as Black Widow. I don't know that it can go there, but I'm willing.
Because you're inhabiting my body right now, it's actually my brain that has to process it. So,
and you know what? We're misleading listeners because this movie, while definitely a body swap movie, isn't a body swap movie, or at least we don't know that it is until the last 20 minutes of the film. So
Sooner than that. I feel like it's the
You think
last
so?
5 minutes of the movie you find out that they've been Freaky Fridaying each other. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't wait to uncover your experience with this. And I have a question I want to get into this film about, but I guess let's not keep listeners in suspense.
Much like this movie doesn't.
Today, the machine has made us watch the Skeleton Key from 2005. Truman, will you drop the needle on the ancient record and have it recite the incantation of a synopsis?
You know I love my needle drops. New Orleans hospice nurse Carolyn Ellis, played by Kate Hudson, travels to a remote plantation house deep in the bayou to care for Benjamin Devereaux, played by John Hurt, an old man rendered catatonic and wheelchair-bound after a severe stroke. Although she doesn't get along with Ben's overprotective wife Violet, played by Jenna Rowlands, she is encouraged to take the job by the estate's lawyer, Luke Marshall, played by Peter Sarsgaard. The old house has a different lock on every door, so Violet gives Carolyn a skeleton key that will allow her to open any door in the house. But when she discovers a locked door in the attic that even her skeleton key won't open, Carolyn is drawn deeper into the mystery of the house, its history, and the dark bayou curse that binds them together forever.
Yes, that is Skeleton Key, and let's go through some cast and crew before I ask you this big question. But it is directed by Iain Softley, who did a very infamous movie, at least
K-PAX.
amongst people I know, K-PAX, yeah.
Yeah.
And Inkheart, and a number of just other really interestingly forgettable films.
Is the unforgettable one the one that I think it is?
The unforgettable one?
The one that was so influential to you and all your friends.
K-PAX?
Oh,
I was talking about K-PAX, not
you were talking. K-PAX is actually okay. Wait, are we both PAX heads? Are we both K addicts over here?
No. Okay, my friend group it was infamous for how bad it was, and I had one friend in particular who was like, "That Kevin Spacey guy, I don't like him. Something's wrong with him." And he felt that way starting with K-PAX, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? He's one of the greatest actors we have." And he was like, "No, man, something fucking wrong with that guy."
So K-PAX is the thing that set off his alarm bells. Not the movie where he plays a serial killer. Not the movie where he's a guy trying to fuck his teenage daughter's friend. It's he's an enigmatic possible alien in a mental hospital. This is a K-PAX podcast now. K-PAX, the movie, based on a book. How many sequels do you think the author of K-PAX wrote? How long do you think the K-PAX
series?
Oh, it's a series.
Whoa, this is new information to me. I have no idea. I'm gonna guess. It's got to be more than 3, otherwise it wouldn't be a piece of trivia. I'm gonna go 7.
Oh, okay. Well, I shouldn't have set you up that way. It's 5, but it's kind of weird. That's a lot of books about K-PAX, who's again just sort of a man shows up at a mental hospital claiming to be an alien. That's
like learning that Fletch, the character Fletch, has 14 books.
Right, exactly. How much Fletch can there possibly be for us to cover, especially on the page? I want to read some of the subtitles. K-PAX 2, On a Beam of Light. K-PAX 3, I think this is my favorite one, Worlds of Prot. K-PAX 4, Prot is the name of the protagonist of the movie K-PAX, played by Kevin Spacey. K-PAX is the name of the planet that Prot has come from. Many people don't realize this. K-PAX 4, A New Visitor from the Constellation Lyra. And then K-PAX 5, The Coming of the Bullocks.
Is there any rumor at all of what the title of K-PAX 6 would have been?
I think it's K-PAX 6.
Is it forthcoming? Is he still making them?
I don't know if author Gene Brewer is. No, he's still out there. He's 88 years old.
Okay.
I think he's at the same age that Clive Cussler was when he died.
When he passes, his estate's going to be like, we have a cow to milk here with these K-PAX books, so release the unreleased manuscripts.
I think he was actually going to call K-PAX 6 The Winds of Winter, but then he got into a big legal dispute with George R.R. Martin, and that's what slowed up both books. Okay, but so anyway, Iain Softley made K-PAX.
He made K-PAX, Inkheart, and a number of other forgettable films, but he also made Hackers.
That's the one I was trying to drive at. Probably his most infamous movie.
Among a certain generation, for sure. And it was written by Ehren Kruger, who I think, appropriately to today's discussion, wrote The Ring right before this, and has also gone on to write both. Okay, Ehren Kruger. We got to go into this guy for a second. You're the writer, so
I am. I mean,
you are.
So, I mean, yes, are we going to talk about the fact that he is he won the Nickel Fellowship for the script Arlington Road, the Nickel Fellowship, which I was once dead set on winning and kind of wrecked my life over for a couple of years. But then he's also turned it into a very successful career as a journeyman screenwriter in Hollywood.
He has one of the most successful films of the year in the year 2025 when this is being recorded. F1 is still in theaters, and it just passed the, $600 million mark globally?
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. Well, and so then we know that Ehren Kruger is a master of the dad trap.
Oh, God, yeah, because he wrote Top Gun Maverick, and he's writing the Top Gun sequel.
Yes.
He wrote the Transformers trilogy, starting with Revenge of the Fallen, going to Age of Extinction.
Yes.
He wrote The Ring, Ring 2, so The Rings together.
Multiple rings.
And just a number, as you said, Arlington Road, just a number of movies he's written and is incredibly successful. He also wrote Ghost in the Shell, a movie that I think has similar conversation pieces to today's film.
Yes, certainly. He also wrote a movie called Dumbo, which everybody forgot, and I'm sure made several $100 million. The
Tim Burton Disney film, yeah.
The Tim Burton Disney Dumbo. He also wrote The Brothers Grimm, which boy, I remember seeing that movie. I remember really not enjoying that movie, and I remember every time I bring it up to a woman, they just say, "Oh, Matt Damon and Heath Ledger, same movie." So my criticisms tend to fall on deaf ears.
Wait, I've never heard of Matt Damon as a sex pot.
Well, look at the cover for The Brothers Grimm. They're trying to make that happen.
I've seen it. I saw that in theater.
I did too. Did you like
Singular
Brothers
theater?
Grimm? Yeah. We were in the same theater. That's when our bodies swapped. We've been at this for a long time.
We're going to go through a number of other people throughout today's episode. I think I also want to talk about the editor and cinematographer at some point. But I got to ask you, before we go into the box office specs, what is your experience with folk horror? Because you're just to remind everyone, and it's not to put your shit in the street, but
no, of course.
You're not a horror fan.
I'm not.
Generally.
I'm not. There are horror movies that I love, and but I generally don't seek out the genre. I don't have much experience with folk horror at all, unless you. I mean, does Bigfoot count as folk horror? In which case, that's part of my heritage as an Oregonian.
I'm just anything online is gonna ignite the discourse of some people defending the fact that Bigfoot could technically be considered folklore and therefore might fall into I bet it's your approach to the film. Is Cry Wilderness folk horror? Maybe. Well, is Harry and the Hendersons? Probably not.
I'm actually kind of horrified by Harry in that movie, more so than by the little Bigfoot guy in Cry Wilderness. Landon and I have watched a surprising number of movies about Bigfoot together, and this could open an even richer discussion than K-PAX. So, no, I'm not familiar with folk horror. What the hell is folk horror?
Folk horror is my kind of shit. Yes. I know. Listen, I shit talk the horror community a lot on this show, and I probably shouldn't. It's unfair of me. But if you'll go with me down this journey for a minute, folk horror is an example of where I get frustrated. So I'm not going to give a whole discourse, a whole curriculum on what folk horror is. It has to do with usually nature or location-specific places that tap into folklore, tap into ancient religious or magic ceremonies. There's a lot of outsiders entering into a space that they are unfamiliar with. There's a clash of modern ideas with old ideas, that sort of stuff. You see a lot of folk horror dealing with Like, it's really big in Australia with Aboriginal stories. It's a lot of, like, and I think where it could have played into today's episode is the past the present reckoning with the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would consider Get Out a folk horror film, but Get Out is definitely in today's conversation.
Well, I feel like you could consider it folk horror just in the sense that racism is a part of American folklore, and, you know, racial hierarchies are, like, not in a good way. I'm saying it sucks that that's a part of it. And this movie engages with some of those same hierarchies and those same institutions.
The difference, I think, is that usually, and this is not across the board and not for me to say, but it's like a specific institution or a specific organization of people or group of people are at the center of the thing that is, you know, like, and I hate to say it, but, like, often it would have been like, I think you can consider Pet Sematary folk horror. And it's the idea that this quote unquote just Native American, this not talk about any specific tribe, but this Native American idea of this cursed land, and, like, that is us grappling with a specific thing.
Okay, well then by that logic, then is The Shining folk horror, because Ullman at the beginning is talking about how it was built on a Native American burial ground and how the construction site was, like, attacked by Native Americans in the early 1900s.
This is a great segue. Because I want to talk about a documentary called Woodlands. It's from a box set called All of Our Haunts, A History of Folk Horror. And Kayla Genesi is one of the, like, leading scholars and producers of getting folk horror as a collection, as, like, a canon, so that we can talk about it, define it, etc. And on her documentary, which is amazing, there's a guy on there who goes, the trick about Native American burial grounds is that they don't exist, or if you want to phrase it differently, they're all over the place. They're everywhere.
Okay, so it's sort of almost a distinctly kind of Western European idea that, like, no, these people grouped all of their dead in one central place the way that we do with our traditions.
Now, I'm just reporting what was said by one person in a documentary. I don't know the reality behind all of that, but what I think is at the heart of folk horror and what interests me is, like, it starts to delve into the kind of theological and cultural stuff that is often overlooked, and where it fits in today's discussion is, like, sometimes it's used more modernly, it's used for good, to have, like, productive conversations about these things. Historically, it's been to other these cultures, to appropriate, especially hoodoo and voodoo, which we'll be talking about today, as evil forces or corrupting forces. So it's a one of those middle grounds that is just very well poised for conversation. But, and I wanted to, just for the long record, not just today's episode, but for the long record about the horror community.
Okay, another chapter. Get ready, everybody.
What the folk horror and Kayla Genesi's documentary is a good example of, like, someone doing the fucking work, going in, finding the right people to talk to, getting their perspectives, understanding it, doing further research based on it, and, like, actually building something, versus what I feel like the horror community often does, which is like, oh, cool, we have a new way to categorize things. I've watched a few DVD features. Let me be a talking head in a documentary and be an expert. That's what drives me fucking insane.
Okay, but I mean, I will point out, Landon, that as someone who has a podcast about movies, I mean, you know, we kind of are people who position ourselves a little bit as experts. So just, you know, your house outside the horror community might be made of glass. Okay. So be careful about the stones that you're chucking.
Let me state for the official record, I do not, under any circumstance, any subject, consider myself an expert. I'm just someone who's very interested in these things.
Okay, very good. It also sounds to me, based on your love of folk horror, you insist that you don't live in the horror community, and I'll take you at face value. Perhaps you have a timeshare in the horror community when it's folk horror?
I mean,
A guy showed
No.
you a presentation. He put you in for the hard sell. He like gave you free drink coupons and tickets to Celine Dion.
If anything, I'm in the forests dancing naked with a coven of witches in the folk horror community. I'm not living in the suburban streets of it.
Okay, I mean, I also feel like based on how much that factors into a whole lot of horror movies, I feel like the forest full of naked dancing witches is like downtown in the horror community. Like, that's their commercial core. Everybody's dancing with witches. We've all seen the last scene in Roger Eggers' The Vitch.
Okay. So then I mentioned Get Out. Have you seen Get Out?
Oh, I've seen Get Out, yeah.
You have seen Get Out.
When
Okay.
a horror movie attains a certain level of critical cachet, that's when I'm like, well, I have to see this if I can be a snob about it online.
Okay. So I guess we're going to spoiler alert. Get Out. If you haven't seen Get Out, it's been fucking a decade. So
it's pretty ubiquitous at this point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's go into some box office and budget specs for
Yes.
The Skeleton Key.
Why don't we?
Why don't we? Well, there is no reason, and that's why we're going to do it.
Great.
It was released on August 12th, 2005. That is, Truman, almost exactly 20 years to the date of when we're recording this.
Ooh, spooky skeleton rattling sounds. Ooh.
Happy anniversary, Skeleton Key.
Yeah.
This is your present.
I know that. Yeah, what's the 20-year anniversary? Is that the Is that the Diamond Jubilee? Is that the Emerald anniversary? Which one is that?
It's the podcast episode anniversary.
Oh God, it's the retrospective anniversary, the worst one.
It was released by Universal Pictures. Truman, do you want to guess how many theaters this PG-13 horror film, riding off the coattails of the highly successful The Ring, was released into upon initial release?
I'm gonna say 3,000.
Okay.
Okay. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're wrong. Do you wanna give me one more guess? You're a little bit over.
I'm a little bit over. 2,800.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
It is 2771.
Oh man, I almost did 2750, but I think by Price is Right rules, I would have lost it on that.
You would have lost it on that. Yes.
Okay,
but this
so
isn't Price is Right.
They went fairly wide with it. I mean, it wasn't barnyard numbers, but still, they put it in a lot of theaters.
Yes, I think horror inevitably gets you less of a release unless you're Gretel and Hansel.
And I guess also it's like, yeah, this came out in August. This wasn't an October horror movie release. That's kind of a tricky time to put that movie in theaters.
Yeah, it's more the sweaty spooky season than it is the like chilly spooky season.
This movie, I'm not giving away anything. I'm not like fucking with our order of operations. This movie could have been sweatier. I could have used more sweat.
I agree with you, actually.
Thank you.
This opened number 2 in the box office on opening weekend.
Okay.
There's only one movie that beat it, and it was new that weekend. Do you want me to go through the top 5 box office?
Yeah, go through. Tell me what was at the top.
All right, I'm going to start with number 5. Boy, oh boy, what a time and place. In its first week, the sequel, Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
Right. I feel like this has come up before. My brain jumped to a bunch of Deuce Bigalow sequel material, and I realized, wait, I think I've already talked about this movie. It's haunting us.
Number 4, in its 5th week, Wedding Crashers.
Oh, a movie I am sadly quite familiar with.
Why sadly? Does it not hold up?
Yeah, I don't think it holds up great based on my memories. I don't know. It's just, like, why did I see it? Because I was a 19-year-old in college, and we watched it a lot. Like,
yeah.
it was, you know.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3 in its 2nd week, The Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, Johnny Knoxville out there. And...
Mr. The Rundown, Sean William Scott.
Oh, the one I didn't like from The Rundown. Ugh.
Then in number 2, for its first week, Skeleton Key, which is what we're talking about today.
But what about number 5? You went 1, 4, 3.
No, I started at number 5 and I'm working backwards.
Oh, you're working backwards. Oh, well, okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, and now we're on 1.
Okay, I'm sorry. I not great at math. We know this.
The film that beat the Skeleton Key. 4 Brothers.
4 Brothers. Mark Wahlberg is one of the brothers.
Is that true?
I think one
you
of the
might
brothers
be
is
right
Mark
on
Wahlberg.
that. I know Paul Walker is.
Oh boy, pour one out. Who are the other two brothers?
I'm gonna guess Steven Dorff
Okay.
and Brad Renfro.
I'm gonna say.
When did he die?
Let's see. I'm gonna say Richard Roundtree and esteemed English character actor Steve Coogan. Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese Gibson, Andre Benjamin, Garrett Hedlund, also Terrence Howard.
Okay,
Oh,
so no
Sofia
Paul
Vergara
Walker.
in the house, and our friend Chiwetel Ejiofor. Great,
And Terrence Howard. I think I saw him once.
dude. Don't start this discourse again. This is gonna be a 3-hour episode for no reason,
All right,
reason
okay.
at all.
All right, let's finish out these specs.
Yeah.
This film was in theaters for approximately 11 weeks, and it dropped. This film did okay, and it stayed in the top 10 for 4 weeks. It went from 2 to 5 to 8 to 9, and then dropped to 11 out of the top 10. It had a production budget of $40 to $43 million, depending on where you look at, and speculative marketing, I'm going to say 10 to 20, based on the niche market.
Yeah.
It grossed domestically $48 million.
Okay. Made it back.
Made back its production budget for sure.
Yeah.
Internationally, $46 million for a total of $94 million.
Pretty good.
I would say that is a low to modest profit.
Yeah, this movie, not a flop. Like, this movie made money for the people who made it. There was return on it. It's not doing The Ring numbers. It's not that level of
Yes,
return on investment.
but that's precisely, I think, how Hollywood is trying to determine a hit or not. It's like they are releasing this with talent from The Ring on the coattails of the PG-13 success of The Ring, and therefore the same market is going to be hit, but it is showing diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So I think that's the sort of trend they look for in terms of success, which is a shame because I have a lot to say about the PG-13 horror film that we'll get to later, I think.
Okay, well, there you go. One more reason to stay tuned, everybody. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Have you seen this film before? What's your previous experience? Did you even know it existed?
Landon and I did know it existed, and it's a very characteristic reason for why I did.
Okay.
I did not see this movie before. I was aware of its existence. I remember seeing a trailer for it.
Okay.
And what I remember one thing from the trailer, and this is going to come up next week when we play a trailer game.
Okay.
I remember Kate Hudson riding a streetcar in New Orleans and being like, "Oh, public transit." Like even as a teenager, when I should have been thinking about anything else, women perhaps.
Wow.
No, I'm just like,
Wow.
oh, it's a nice streetcar. I guess like my thought was actually because I could tell from the trailer it was New Orleans, and I was like, oh, I didn't know New Orleans had a streetcar. That's cool. So. My big complaint about this movie: only one scene on the streetcar.
It's true. Yeah.
Why not more?
Not a lot in the urban centers at all, actually.
No. Which I mean, I guess I could have seen that coming. What about you? Were you a fan?
I had not seen this before today's episode. I knew it existed. I am a massive put a minute on the clock.
Oh boy.
I've got to talk about Gina Rowlands.
Oh.
Maybe one of my all-time favorite actors. Maybe one of the best actresses that's ever lived.
Yeah, I was looking her up. I sadly have not seen other stuff that she's in. I loved her in this. And I also see that she did a Columbo episode in 1974.
Oh yeah, one of the best.
Oh boy,
one
I
of the
can't wait.
best.
I can't. It's season 4. I haven't got there yet, but I'm excited.
It's a cosmetic company episode.
Ooh. Yeah, okay, so, well, I don't know. I thought you were going to go into more Gina Rowlands stuff. I don't know.
I will later when we start talking about her. But I knew this film existed. I hadn't seen it. I don't know that I would have been able to tell you Kate Hudson was in it, and I've got a bombshell to drop about that later.
Did you see her at the Sundance Film Festival in 2004?
No, I did not. The thing is, okay, so in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that Southern-based horror film with Gina Rowlands, and I think I conflated it in my mind with a Hilary Swank Southern-based horror film that I can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
And so I think there are 3 films that just kind of got merged together in the fog of my memory. And so when I plucked this one out, I'm like, well, this doesn't look familiar at all. But I knew it existed. So I had a really fun experience just kind of like going, I don't think I really knew anything about this movie.
So that kind of sense of like uncertainty and kind of having the rug pulled out from under you probably really spookified the experience.
I did have a jump scare when I saw John Hurt.
Yeah,
like, he's in this? Awesome.
You saw him, didn't hear him. Not really much John Hurt.
I heard his soul. I heard his inner monologue, Truman. He's so good of an actor.
He
conveys his inner monologue without speaking.
A lot of eye stuff going on here.
But for today's episode, I watched it twice, and I listened to the audio commentary. So I am prepared.
Oh my God, you are all keyed up for this movie. I tell you what, this movie, kind of tough to get to. Not really on a lot of streaming services. You have to get it on Apple TV or Amazon, and you have to pay for it. It's a little bit buried. So you're
wait. Are you saying you own this movie now?
No, God, no. I didn't buy it. I rented it. Although I did rent it. I was staying with my parents, and I had to explain to my father, I need to Venmo you $4 because I'm renting a movie on Apple TV. Oh, what are you watching, son? It's for my stupid podcast. It's called The Skeleton Key. Oh, what's it about? Listen to the episode. So anyway, that's my struggle.
Yeah.
It is not a super available movie, I think.
I want to just pause and say that if your dad is taking the advice and listening to today's episode, I want to point him in the direction of the Simone episode, because you are talked about extensively about your feelings about a hard drive on the beach.
Oh, Landon, you assumed that I didn't personally tell my father that I talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah, this I was surprised I was able actually to get this on Blu-ray from the library, but I had to wait a while for it to be shipped in from another state, I think.
Now, was this the 4K Steelbook Blu-ray release of The Skeleton Key?
No, this was oh my God, I have so much to say about this too. This was clearly like, in fact, it says it explicitly when you put it in. There are all these screens that Universal pops up when they were first debuting the Blu-ray format that just says, like, Blu-ray is a new format. Not all features might work on your disc player. And I'm like, motherfucker, can we just get on with the movie? Blu-ray is, like, out of date at this point. Why would you put this on here and just show your whole ass for eternity?
Well, look, would you rather see that, or would you rather see the montage for Universal of like 6 different Universal movies?
That is also on there. There's so many screens at the beginning of this Blu-ray disc that I felt like I was going to see it at an AMC theater.
Was it like the preview of like all the effects-driven movies to show how good the Blu-ray format looks? Like, here's the explosion from 6 Days, 7 Nights.
Yes, my point was, like, this Blu-ray that I got was clearly like within the first 7 months of Blu-rays existing, and no one has watched it since then. Wow. I got it. It was a pristine disc. It's just like no dust on it, no scratches, no nothing. But it was like fresh printed off of 2007's manufacturing line.
You're the first person in the history of the state of Wisconsin to check out The Skeleton Key, which is, I mean, and you're the smart one. You didn't pay anything to see it, which was honestly the right move.
It's true. I don't know. I would have paid to see this, I think. I would have enjoyed seeing this in the theater. I am actually kind of bummed that I missed the last 20 years of having this in my life.
I am.
That might be an overstatement now that I think about it, but.
If I can preview my thoughts, I'm kind of bummed that I spent $4 out of my dad's Apple account to watch this movie.
It seems to be on trend for you this season, but that's okay. There's
some I've liked. There's been some real bangers that I've liked a lot. Don't you call me a sourpuss on the podcast? And there's stuff I liked about it too.
It's just more that you've been bummed by things.
Well, lots of things bum me out, Landon. It's called depression. You heard of it? What do we do now? What happens next on the podcast?
What do we do now? Let's talk about this dang old movie, shall we? I want to... Where do you think we should start? I've been bouncing around to a lot of, like, big concepts here. I do want to talk about hoodoo and voodoo at some point, but not right now. I think maybe we got to get people into the movie.
Yeah, we got to kind of start, laying down a gumbo before we get too spicy with it.
Oh boy, oh no.
I've been to New Orleans twice, Landon. I can say the word gumbo at least. I think, as someone who does not like horror movies and someone who is pretty prone to being scared by things, I didn't find this movie to be particularly frightening or scarifying at all.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I don't know how much it's designed to be. I want to, because it plays into this conversation about PG-13 horror films, and I want to come back to that later, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, shut down.
Well, let's talk about what's happening in the film. Like, let's set up some characters and scenarios, and then we'll go into some of that stuff.
Okay, but with a veneer of it not being scary. So, look, I like the way this movie starts. Honestly, like the first 5-6 minutes of this movie, I was very engaged because I think the movie does a really good job of setting up Kate Hudson's character and what her whole deal is. Because we start with her working at a hospice in New Orleans. Like a lot of horror movies, in my limited experience, they start with a cold open of something really scary happening to grab you, and then kind of scale it back, and we build out the characters. Not the case here. It's Kate Hudson is reading a book to a dying man in a hospice center in the city where she works, and he dies, and then the people at the center are like, okay, well, throw out all his crap. So much for his family doesn't want to pick it up, and she, kind of has
what was that guy's story? Why does no one want anything to do with him?
I mean, I did like the fact that she's kind of. It's just been a few shots of her reading to this guy, but she seems affected by his death and says, hey, he's gone. And they say, oh, yeah, well, you can throw out his stuff. His family doesn't want anything to do with him. And it's like, oh, we never know what was wrong with this guy, but it's just this thing of like, oh, shit, you don't really know that much about a person. You're just there for them at the end.
I know. I mean, the movie doesn't need to answer that question at all, but it just, like, it was such a, like, who is this guy? Is he like fresh off death row? Like, why doesn't his family want anything to do with any of his belongings? Like, they're not even there with him at the end. And that's, I think, that unanswered question is kind of what drives Kate Hudson's character through this, of like, someone always needs to be there with someone else at the end. I didn't get to with my father, as we'll get into later. And so she's dedicated to being with this gentleman in his last moments, reading to him Treasure Island?
What? The least scary book this side of Where the Wild Things Are?
Why would she read him a scary book?
Well, okay, good. To try and get him to die faster, you gotta turn over the bed. He'll have a heart attack when he finds out who the monster is at the end of the book. I don't know, it's not like super atmospheric. The way she's reading and the segment she's reading sounds pleasing to the ear. It's just then we get a shot of Treasure Island as the cover. And
I know. And I don't want to dwell on this too much, but it was like, and I'm not taking the film to task, it was just kind of funny to me of, like, we get these shots of his, like, face almost like peering beyond the veil as he's seeing death approach, and she's reading Treasure Island to him, and I couldn't just help but think, my God, in my final moments, what book do I want read to me? Do I want to be read to? Is this the way that I want to be, going out? And Treasure Island, is that the book that, like, God, of all the books in the world that you could be reading to me in my final moments, do I want, like, page 47 of Treasure Island? Like, not even
good
like
stuff.
I know I'm gonna die before I'm invested in the characters or know what happens at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're either going to be left hanging or you're going to be kind of like disinterested and like, well, I guess I'd rather be like talking to my family or watching the game or something here. What if the book that's being read to you as you die is the Count of Monte Cristo? What if you just get hoisted so hard by life?
You know what? There are worse things. Shout out to the Countdown of Monte Cristo, my other podcast. Thank you for the setup on that.
Oh, you're welcome, Landon.
I thoroughly enjoy that book, and what I'm trying to think through is, like, would I want to go out in, like, just a random chapter of that book or a specific moment? And I'm like, okay, there are moments when Dumas is, like, just filling pages for money, and like, if I went out in one of those stretches, I'd be like, oh fuck.
I'm trying to. Would I want someone to be like reading me a Kurt Vonnegut book, but it's one of his later ones where he has all of the like the dirty pictures that he's drawn, and it's so someone's describing me like, well, it's now he has this hand drawn picture of a butthole, and Mr. Caps has passed on.
He's using his signature as pubic hair.
Oh, come on, dude. He would never do that. That's a Trump only thing.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But like what I like from this scene though is they tell her, box up all this crap, take it outside, he's dead, and his family doesn't want it. And so she's kind of going through his belongings. There's this like keychain he has that says "Live fast, die young" in the shape of an electric guitar. She goes out to the dumpster and she opens it up and she just sees all these other identical boxes from other people's lives, and you get this reaction shot of her looking at that, and it really elegantly and beautifully wordlessly kind of sets up what she thinks is important and what her value system is and what's motivating her, which is just stuff you don't always get in the movies we cover. And it was nice to see that all done up front.
One of my big notes was like, this movie's doing everything Truman complains about in other films.
Yes. No, I give it endless snaps for that. Like, I know exactly why Kate Hudson is in the next scene going to respond to a classified ad to drive to the bayou and be a hospice nurse.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, is that quittable behavior? Would you quit your job over that? I guess we have to for the sake of this movie, but like, would taking a hospice nurse job change the core issue she had with the place she was working?
Well, I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Well, she talks to her friend about how I can do it my way. Like the very next scene, then, unfortunately, we have a scene where she explains to her designated exposition friend about how, I'm going to go be a hospice nurse in this house in the middle of the swamp so I can see people through the end of their life in the way I want to. And
she has this conversation with her friend at a New Orleans jazz club. There are numerous exposition scenes in this film that take place at clubs. Why? And I'm like, I get like later on they're in like a hip hop club where inexplicably the MC is walking through all of the like people on the floor having drinks, just rapping behind them like he's at doing karaoke at a Buffalo Wild Wings. But
or like dinner theater or something. Like you're at Tony and Tina's wedding.
I can even kind of understand having a conversation in that environment. And this is no dunk on New Orleans jazz, which is fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah. Top-notch jazz.
And you would maybe know this as a trumpet player. It's one of the loudest fucking instruments that's ever existed. I wouldn't be able to hear the person across the table from me.
Exactly the note that I took. They're in there and there's like a second line band. It's sousaphones and like 3 trumpet players and these dudes are cooking.
Sure. Yeah. Can you give me just a line as if you're Kate Hudson from the movie and I'm gonna be the background.
Okay, so I'm really worried about like trying to find the end of life and like how we help people through things. I just got to do this my way, and I need to get the hours so I can get my nursing degree. And I am very pretty, by the way. I love your jazz, by the way. That's Wisconsin jazz.
Okay, I was dead set on not actively appropriating anything for this episode for the subject matter that we're dealing with.
Yeah,
I want to just take a moment to apologize to all New Orleans folk, to all trumpet players, to the concept of jazz, our listeners, maybe just humanity in general.
Thank you for Landon. It's really great that you tried not to appropriate jazz music because no other white people have done that. I think that my note when that scene was happening was like, more horror movies should have trumpets in them. This is great. I wish. I honestly like they're playing, and I'm kind of like, I wish Kate Hudson would shut up about all the stuff she wants to do in her life, so I can just like listen to this band because they're really doing good. But yes, so many of the exposition scenes in this movie, the director, God bless him, wants to take advantage of the New Orleans setting. But then it's like they're in these clubs, and the camera work almost is so kind of propulsive in the editing, like the way they're crossfading, like they're out there then dancing after she's explained what she wants to do.
It's so 2005. This is fresh on the heels of Wicker Park, man.
I know. Well, honestly, Wicker Park's very moody and atmospheric editing would suit this movie a little better than kind of the clubby propulsive editing that we get here of Kate Hudson cutting a rug with her friend. Yeah, but then she's off. She's driving out to this house in the middle of this big ass plantation house in the middle of the swamp where she's going to look after this guy. Because by the way, the classified ad has said, hospice nurse wanted $1,000 a week.
Yes, and you know this house if you've played Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a location there. You've been there. You've had many missions there.
Yes, this is a house that you know if you've seen the movie Frogs from 1972. Is it the same house that they used in Frogs? No, I looked it up. But if you were looking for just a gigantic plantation house surrounded by nothing but swamp to the point that it's like, why did they even build it? That's what you got.
Yes, and unlike last season, where we had not one but two modern VW bugs, this film is rocking the old school VW bug.
What are your thoughts on Kate Hudson's choice of car in this movie?
I think it was a mistake not to get a new one because we know those new ones can tumble with the best of them.
True.
And as we see at the end of this film, the old school VW bug can't even bust through a gate.
Yeah. If she'd had a new Beetle, she would have this movie would have been 20 minutes shorter. She would have just busted out of the gate and been fine. It is really, I don't know. I just kind of love how the protagonist of the horror movie always has a really visually distinctive car. I mean, that's good filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I saw her in the Volkswagen, I'm like, how much? That's like a classic car at this point. Like that's kind of like expensive to have.
I don't think so. Not in 2005. It would have been from the 70s. It's like, not quite a classic yet.
I guess
or maybe it would be 20, just approaching classic.
I guess it's just like I miss an era when something kind of so stylish and distinctive and weird could be like a junker economy car, whereas now it's just like a 2005 Honda Civic or something.
I know. I felt that way about my Ford Focus that I recently sold, where I'm like, oh, this car, it's a 2009. It's nothing. And then like when I realize, oh, this car is 15 years old. Like I could hold on to this too. It is a classic, but it's not going to have that classic patina to it because it was made in 2009.
Yeah, exactly. Just two guys talking about how everything was better when they were kids. This is unique content.
Here's what I want to say about the car, though, and this goes to the commentary, the audio commentary with the director.
Yeah.
And once he pointed it out, I started noticing a lot on my second watch that I'm like, oh, that is kind of clever and interesting. He said that they spent a lot of time designing the Kate Hudson character to cater it specifically to her because they wanted to get a mixture of like punk rock and like feel good hippie, and which is an interesting mix. But it's like someone who's a little rebellious and independent and like bucking the system, which she does here. Yeah. But also like all about free hugs, save the whales, like the compassionate, I got to do well on the world side. And so like the VW bug feels like the perfect kind of middle ground between those two things. And he was talking about it specifically in like the costume design and the accessories and the hair style that they gave her in this, where it's like you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, I could see her entering into like a hookah shop. I could also see her entering into a nightclub with a straight edge band playing.
Yeah. Would you say that she has a short skirt and a long jacket? I mean, is that the kind of is that the kind of character they're trying to paint her as? I think that's interesting, but I also am realizing, hearing that, the movie does a good job of showing what motivates Kate Hudson. I don't get a real sense of like what her whole deal is as like what kind of person or what her existing belief system is. I know that and that's fine.
Well, that's a problem. Yeah.
I don't necessarily need it that much because I have such a good sense of, okay, she has this calling to like help people through the end of life. She wasn't there for her dad when he died. She thinks this is really important. And like I'm vibing with that, and that's good. If the movie was trying to convey, oh, she has kind of a hippie chick vibe to her, but she's still figuring it out, that didn't really break through.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe this was like riding on the coattails of Almost Famous a little bit, and like she's just bringing cultural baggage with her that has lost its impact over the years.
Yeah, the baggage has been lost. You have to file a claim. I think that's a really good point. I think that just Kate Hudson was more of an institution then, and you kind of like, attached that stuff to her.
I'm going to go into my Kate Hudson admission right now.
Okay.
I really liked her in this, and I was struggling at some point to go, well, why? She seems like she's fallen into those actresses that people are just kind of annoyed with.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And when I went to go investigate, I realized I had only seen 2 Kate Hudson movies in my entire life.
The other one was Almost Famous, and then this one?
Almost Famous, Skeleton Key, and then Knives Out.
Oh, right, of course. Okay.
Or Glass Onion, I can't remember which one she's in.
Yeah,
I was shocked that I'm like, how have I felt more exposed to Kate Hudson over my life than I actually have been?
Well, the media circus has a way of doing that. You're getting Kate Hudson even if you're not paying for a ticket to see her movies.
I guess so.
She's on the cover of the magazine. She's on Jay Leno.
I thought she was perfectly well cast in this role. How do you feel about her?
Look, I don't have a ton. I think I've seen the same number of Kate Hudson movies as you do. For most of this movie, I was watching this and thinking, she's really getting blown out of the water by Gina Rowlands here. Like, I just wasn't really, like, getting much from her performance. I just felt like it was kind of like, not really, I don't know, I wasn't impressed.
It is Gina Rowlands.
But this is the thing, and sure, it is Gina Rowlands, who, even having never seen her and not really being familiar with her before, immediately in this I'm like, oh shit, this is, okay, I'm enjoying this. At the end of the movie, when, spoiler alert, Gina Rowlands has Freaky Friday'd her way into Kate Hudson's body, and now, so Kate Hudson has to perform and convey the character of Gina Rowlands, it's like suddenly she's taking on this Gina Rowlands performance and using her turns of phrase and her affectation, and it's like, oh, this is, Kate Hudson can hang. This is good. I think whatever I wasn't responding to in the movie, I think has more to do with my issues with just what's going on in the movie materially, scene by scene, and not Kate Hudson. Yeah. So I'm up on her in this. I liked her in Almost Famous.
Yeah. Well, what struck me about Kate Hudson specifically is, like, I was thinking about, okay, if this movie was made 10 years before or 10 years after, if it was made in, like, the late 90s, you would get someone, an actress, I don't know, no one's coming to mind specifically, but, like, I just feel like it would be played, like, way too high, way too heightened, just like, kind of spooked at every corner, like,
Sure.
And then, likewise, if you cast it 10 years later, it's so unaffected by everything that's going on that I can't get invested because the character doesn't care. And so, like, maybe it was just the film was made at the right time with the right person. That, I mean, as far as casting is concerned, that it works for me, because I don't think I would be able to, like, vibe with this movie the way that I do if it was, like, an early Naomi Watts performance, or, someone else that is, like, trying to make a name for themselves in the late 90s and like, oh, this is my horror turn. I don't want to be seen slumming it with horror, so I have to bring too much dramatization to it.
And what form do you think that usually takes? Is that people being too overblown, just like too overblown and like scared and frightened and screaming a lot?
Yes. Like what? And I think that the filmmakers specifically catered to Kate Hudson's attitude and type of acting style, because I can't see the 1990s version of this be like, okay, let's say it was Sandra Bullock and like late 90s Sandra Bullock, and I that's the closest I can come to like getting the mixture of being proactive enough to investigate, being rebellious enough to like stand up in the moment to Gina Rowlands when you first meet her, when she goes, oh, I know your type, you got ink everywhere. She's like,
nowhere you can see.
Yeah, exactly. Saying that to your employer the first time you meet them takes a specific kind of personality.
Yes.
That's not something, Nicole Kidman was going to be doing.
Yes. And you're right. I do like that her character is I mean, she has big nurse energy of just like, yeah, I've seen a lot of shit. I'm not freaking out about this stuff. Like, she spends a lot of the movie just kind of investigating, like, wait, what's in this fucked up room? What is the meaning of the stuff I found in this room? She takes the initiative on a lot of things and is not freaking out and terrified.
Yeah.
My issue, though, coming back to this whole thing of I think the movie isn't that scary, is like, she doesn't need to be freaking out and screaming all the time, but I never get this sense of a lot of peril or tension or like, this growing pressure and desperation that I would associate with a slow burn horror movie.
That is totally fair, and I agree with that. And let's use that to kind of open up the story a bit. Let's talk about when this movie came out in 2005.
Yeah. Okay, we're opening up the story, 2005.
Well, let's set the horror landscape a little bit. This is the time when a lot of Japanese horror films were being remade in America, i.e. Ring.
Yeah.
The Ring.
Yeah.
This is the time when there are a lot of classic American remakes happening, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 2004. This is the time when Eli Roth is coming on the scene, and there's a lot of torture porn starting to happen.
Yeah, and you love that. You're like a gigantic fan, unquestionably supportive of everything about that, right?
I mean, listen, I haven't... torture porn's not my thing, but like, I think there are positive things to say about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I think there are positive things to say about some of the Japanese horror film remakes. I like the American version of The Ring. But what I'm kind of getting to is like, the horror landscape at the time was, we either need to gross them out or we need to shock them every couple of seconds. And this film is taking a different approach.
It is.
This is also a time when there was a lot of grumbling about making horror films PG-13 to open it up to a wider audience. And I was definitely part of that choir at the time of like, not everything needs to be for everyone. Why do you have to, make these horror films so watered down? But looking back now at this film, when I compare it to the hardcore stuff that's out there, the PG-13 nature of it allows us to not have to tell those incredibly spooky, creepy, dreadful stories.
Yeah.
It's just, it gives us license to just tell a kind of supernatural story with kind of gothic tropes.
Yeah.
That just doesn't have to be those other things.
Yeah. Look, as someone who, I think part of why I'm kind of, not a horror fan is I think coming of age in the early 2000s when every horror movie was, we have to be really grotesque or just really, really in your face, and there wasn't a lot of room for kind of a slower burn, kind of like deeper, dread-based horror thing. I just feel like I don't get, even within the confines of a PG-13 thing where they're not going to go for grossing you out or being torture porny, I just, even set in this isolated house deep in the bayou, I don't feel a sense of like dread or like she's kind of stuck there or forced to be like, even though obviously she's choosing there to be there for work, but there are multiple scenes where she leaves the plantation house, goes back to New Orleans for one reason or another, to see her friend at a club or to investigate some new thing. And it's like that breaks this sense of like, it's her, it's John Hurt, it's Violet, occasionally the lawyer shows up. There's there's just not this sense of you are trapped in this environment and you are trying to figure out what's going on here because it is life or death for you because this is the only place you can be.
Let's pivot and come back to this because I want to bring listeners into the Gena Rowlands, Peter Sarsgaard, John Hurt side of things, and I think that might illuminate some of the dichotomy between the two worlds. Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm all about illuminating dichotomies. So then, do we want to talk about do we want to talk about Gena Rowlands? Is now the time?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. I mean, we've already spoiled what the fuck's going on in this movie to a small degree. do we want to approach this conversation from what's really going on or from what the film is presenting to us as it presents us?
I think let's discuss it as in terms of what's really going on. Like, you know, we've already hinted at what it is, unless you feel differently about how you want our fans to experience this movie.
I just don't want our fans to be confused by our conversation the way that I tend to get confused when I try to wrap my head around what's really going on.
Yeah. Well, we can... so... What gets discovered over the course of the movie by Kate Hudson is that there were a pair of servants who worked at the house back in like the early 1900s named Mama Cecile and Papa Justify, and they were both practitioners of hoodoo, which is a kind of folk magic that exists and existed in the South at that time, and still to various degrees. And they were working for some rich white assholes who owned the house, and basically they body swap themselves through a hoodoo ritual with the white couple's children. The white couple catches them doing this in the act, and the rich white people then lynch Papa Justify and Mama Cecile in the tree outside, not recognizing, though, that it's actually their children who have been swapped into those bodies, and now Mama Cecile and Papa Justify are their kids. Landon, your mouth is open in a way that suggests that maybe you hadn't caught this part of the movie.
Here's the thing, Truman. The DVD disc the Blu-ray disc that I was watching, it had a point, even though it was scratch-free, had a point it paused in the movie every time and froze. And so I had to hit the skip button. The thing is, it moved like a minute and a half. I'm like, what the fuck could I have missed in that minute and a half? And I felt like I didn't lose the thread of the movie. However, everything that I've been reading is just like, yeah, the thing that people point to as exploitation in this movie is the depiction of a black man being lynched for the purposes of explaining the kind of nature of hoodoo and what it's being, the corrupting forces it's being used for. And I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. Are they talking about a different cut? It must have been in that minute and a half that I couldn't see every time I watched the film.
Yes, that is the case.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So basically the two servants, Papa Justify and Mama Cecile, their souls are now in the bodies of the rich white people's kids. Then the rich white people die, the kids grow up and inherit the property. As they get old, then basically they then get old, and now they are looking for new people to transfer their bodies into. So Papa Justify has transferred his body from the old guy, Ben Devereaux, played by John Hurt, into the young guy, Peter Sarsgaard, the lawyer. Yes. And they're looking to get Kate Hudson for that. They
found a way, essentially, to become immortal, or virtually.
Yes.
And after learning the twist and then rewatching it, I'm like, okay, I gotta just, like, for a moment, I gotta look at the reality of this film rather than the kind of mystery it wants me to see, with the twist ending. And I'm like, okay, when I'm looking at John Hurt's face, I am not looking at John Hurt's face. I mean, I am, but I'm looking at the soul of Peter Sarsgaard inhabiting John Hurt's face.
Yes.
And John Hurt's soul is in the body of someone who has died long before this movie started.
Yes.
Okay. And so then Papa Justify has been leapfrogging from his body to John Hurt to Peter Sarsgaard, and then presumably Peter Sarsgaard to whoever the next victim is.
Yeah.
And they have decided to put this ad out for hospice worker to bring Kate Hudson there as a body for Gina Rowlands to jump into, etc.
Yeah, because, they're both old. They want fresh new bodies so they can be forever young. And, so they've been so you kind of come to learn by the end of it that, they've been auditioning basically for new people for Gina Rowlands to jump into so she can be with her husband, Peter Sarsgaard.
Right.
Yeah.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, her actual husband of Peter Sarsgaard, would be okay in this movie.
Yeah, no, I think she'd be great. She'd be dynamite in this. Does she bring the same hippie girl energy that Penny Lane herself brings to it? Who can say?
I think so. Yeah, I think she would.
Yeah.
Okay, but so I actively at times was like, when I'm watching John Hurt say "help me," it's not John Hurt saying "help me." It's Peter Sarsgaard saying "help me." like, it was hard for my brain to hold that truth, like, trying to watch it without the twist.
Yeah. Well, listen, I recently watched the movie Freakier Friday. Quite good. But I have, that's just sort of the inherent problem I have with a lot of body swapping movies, and even a movie like Freakier Friday, which swaps 4 bodies instead of just 2. So like, I'll be looking at Jamie Lee Curtis and trying to be like, okay, that is Academy Award winner Jamie Lee Curtis, who I love. But right now, it's not Jamie Lee Curtis's character in her. It's it's driving with the parking brake on. There's just a little extra effort in every scene to keep straight a body swap.
Yes.
But what is also important to remember about this is, so, okay, the soul that is now in John Hurt, the old man's body, it's actually Peter Sarsgaard, and to keep him from telling anybody who comes by, like, hey, they did hoodoo on me and swapped my body into this guy, Gina Rowlands has these remedies, these medications, quote unquote, that she gives him every day that keeps him in kind of this catatonic state, and that's the pretext they've used to then bring in Kate Hudson.
Here's where the movie falls apart for me. The weakest parts is like, why haven't they just killed him?
Yeah, I actually don't know why they haven't done that. Is it just that they need an excuse to get to like a reason to have a young woman come to the house and be there often?
Maybe, but why not like have Gina Rowlands pretend?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, and it's like, why does it have to be a hospice nurse? You could just have Gina Rowlands, like, oh, I just need a little help around the house, like,
or troll the streets. I mean, when she body swaps, who cares what kind of, person you're picking up?
Well, I think part of it, and this is what they say at the end of the movie, which is that it's getting harder to do this because for hoodoo to work, the person who you're doing it on has to believe in it. So they had to let her. Like, they had to leave enough breadcrumbs for Kate Hudson over the course of the movie to start believing in hoodoo so that she can then have it work on her.
I need to talk about that, but I'm going to wait till we get to the climax before I do.
Okay.
I do want to just real briefly mention, going back to folk horror and that documentary specifically, that because they do cite Skeleton Key at one point in that movie, or in the documentary. And I'm not the expert here. I'm not going to make the commentary. I just want to kind of point the finger at what this film is trying to do and isn't quite doing well.
Mm-hmm.
This film was made in 2005, and it's the most 2005 approach to being respectful, which is it does the research that so many films before it that deal with hoodoo and voodoo have not done, which is to differentiate the two, that voodoo is a religion and that hoodoo is a set of, magic beliefs.
Yeah.
And the film acknowledges that and says, okay, this is hoodoo, this is not, we're not going to engage with the religious part of, that culture, that, etc. I mean, then it entirely just has white characters inhabit the screen almost entirely, except for a few, black characters who give them information about hoodoo.
Yes.
Which is okay. What I want to talk about with the documentary, though, is, and I highly recommend people seek this out, is the way someone describes this is that this could be viewed as it's not, the movie's messy in its messaging, but it could be seen as a way of people who were enslaved reclaiming power over the people who enslaved them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly the movie is not doing representation right, and there's questionable things about it, but I do appreciate, it being kind of subversive in the end, and it's like, okay, these two black people who are marginalized are using, their culture and their system to then get one over on these white people and get to live in the big house and take something back for themselves. That is refreshing, even if it is sort of a bumpy road getting there.
But at the same time, though, it's also vilifying the hoodoo practices, and it's vilifying the central, servant characters who are inhabiting the body. So
it's
not great.
it's not great. It's otherizing them, certainly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like by the end of it, when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, Papa Justify, all right. I respect your hustle here. I mean, Mama Cecile, well done. Both. I don't know. I don't feel like it's entirely a sad ending, even though it does kind of suck that now Kate Hudson is trapped in a dying lady's body. But I don't know.
Yeah. What I like about this is that, like so many horror films that tread in these kind of murky waters, it is messy, and that makes for a more interesting discussion about these sorts of things than just like the wokest film or the most, alt-right version of a film like this, where it's like they're trying something and there's a lot of blurred lines, and we can kind of discuss, is this kind of low-key racist? Is this kind of exploitative? Is this trying to do good things? To me, that is a very interesting place for a film to live. And there's a choice that the screenwriter made that I think really, really highlights how interesting this is.
Yeah.
He makes this story take place when Peter Sarsgaard has already made his transition.
Yeah.
But Gina Rowlands hasn't.
Yeah.
It could have been two old people who are both looking for vessels.
Yeah.
It could have been two young people that are setting up a pipeline or, whatever, trying to get, another the old hag who lives in the attic. That's another horror trope. Like, they're trying to find a vessel for someone else. But they because it's so focused on the relationship between those characters, having them at a disconnect age-wise says something kind of interesting about power dynamics and who has more autonomy than the other. And I don't know. It doesn't go very deep on that, but it skims the surface in a way that's just like, it adds a dimension that wouldn't be there if they had gone in another direction.
So just in terms of like who is like, we assign more weight or more gravitas to Violet because she's older, she's the lady of the house or something, and Peter Sarsgaard's character is portrayed as sort of an ineffective dork. I mean, the first time she meets him, he's dropping all of his files on the ground and bumbling around. Like, so is it that sort of thing that it's like, who's really running more stuff here?
I've been trying to do the thought experiment of like, would it work flipped where it was, say Kate Hudson is the Gina Rowlands character, like that. It's the female that's already been swapped, and they're looking for a body for the old guy. And Kate Hudson's out there trying to bring a male hospice worker in to do it. And like, how would that change things? I don't know. My thought process isn't sophisticated enough to really play that out, but the fact that it is what it is like, there's this kind of unexplored sexual tension or romantic tension, and I don't know if it's just because we expect that as audience members going into like, oh, these are the only two young people in the movie, and therefore they just met and they're gonna develop a kiss over the course of the movie. That subconsciously plays into that dynamic a bit, or I don't know, or if there's actually some sort of gender or power dynamic at play.
Well, it is funny because like when she is going to him late in the movie for help and like, oh, there, something's going on at the house and Violet is keeping him there against his will or whatever, and they're driving around together trying to figure it out, or seemingly it seems like Peter Sarsgaard is trying to help her out. I'm assuming like, oh, okay, so they're gonna get together or whatever, and then that doesn't happen. He turns out to be a bad guy, and then the movie ends with, though they have gotten together, it's just not them in there, but he is now with the person who's inhabiting Kate Hudson's body. I mean, it's funny that the movie then does have them wind up being paired up at the end, and they can be together in a romantic sense, but it was never based on like what they actually were, like who she was at the time or who he claimed to be.
Right. And maybe it's just like 20 years of seeing Sarsgaard play the secret villain in things, but the second this movie started, I'm like, oh, Peter Sarsgaard's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're introducing him as a nice bumbling guy? He's a bad guy.
I don't have a huge amount of Sarsgaard experience. I really just sort of enjoy, like, I was just I don't know, I didn't necessarily assume he was going to not be a bad guy. I figured it was a good 50-50. I just was also enjoying his sort of dorky dilettante or dorky dandy, Southern dandy performance. Like, I belong to a group of people who believe in some strange things, too. We're called Baptists. It's like, thank you, Blanche.
Well, that's the other thing is, like, maybe this is from watching too many horror films, but, like, I don't think in a horror film you can trust a family attorney ever. There's always something fucking going on with that guy.
Yeah, I think just in general, it's be careful when you're dealing with a family attorney if you're not the one who hired him.
Yes. Also, when he drops his papers when he's introduced, I was like, oh, okay, a literal exposition drop.
Okay, look, there's a lot of really bad operational security going on in this movie. When she first gets to the house, she picks up this old framed picture of, like, the two like children of the White family that lived there, and she's picking it up, like, another picture behind the frame falls out from behind it, and it has Mama Cecile and Papa Justify standing behind the kids, and I'm like, what, like, if that's a secret thing, you should have hidden it better so it doesn't just immediately fall out.
That is the film telling you the ending at the beginning, because those two kids are John Hurt and Gina Rowlands, and the picture that falls out, are the people inhabiting their bodies. So they are literally behind the image of the previous owners of the house.
Yeah, sure, clever filmmaking, but I mean, if I'm Mama Cecile and Papa Justify, and I kind of don't want to, like, give away the game immediately, I might be like, oh, that framed picture we have of us in our old bodies with the two kids we inhabited, and how we have, like, it's like hidden behind the picture frame and the other one that's right there on the credenza. Maybe put that in the attic when our next victim is coming by.
With all the mirrors.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the mirrors.
Okay, let's talk about the mirrors.
I didn't get a chance to, but there are a bunch of deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, and I didn't get to watch them, unfortunately. So I feel like there's something missing regarding the whole fucking mirror thing.
Yeah, I don't get the
What is your impression of the mirror through line?
Yeah, I really don't know. Early on, when Kate Hudson's at the house, there's no mirrors up, and Violet, I don't remember what excuse she gives, but she's like, yeah, we don't have mirrors. We don't do that.
When you're this age, you don't want to see yourself. You don't want reminders.
Yeah, which is good. She has a lot of good lines, and she delivers them all really well. She's so good in this. But yeah, but she tells her, like, if you want a small personal mirror for your own purposes, go for it, but you can't put up any mirrors. Yeah. And later, it's because I guess mirrors is it that they show the actual soul of the person in there?
I don't fucking know. I was so confused by this because there's one moment when Kate Hudson does bring her personal mirror in, and she's bathing John Hurt, and she accidentally, has it in front of John Hurt, and he, like, freaks out.
Well, she purposefully, like, puts it up to him. Like, at this point, she's suspecting
because she started
stuff.
To suspect things at this point, right?
Yeah.
But the audience doesn't get to see his reflection.
No.
Which is where I'm like, something was edited out here.
Yeah.
Because what I can't figure out is, like, is this vampire rules where the people who have swapped bodies see their original soul rather than the body they're inhabiting, and, like, they don't want other people to see their secret? Is it a body dysmorphia thing where it's like, it's so fucking, mind-shattering to see yourself in a body that's not yours?
Yeah.
Is it some Spirit Halloween bullshit where you see the souls at the end? Or, in the conclusion of this movie is so clunky. Is it that the mirrors are the tool in which to swap the bodies? And just having mirrors around will accidentally make you swap bodies with someone.
This doesn't have the just the clarity and simplicity of the change-up. It's only if you pee on a mirror. At the end, Gina Rowlands is, like, charging at Kate Hudson, pushing a full-length mirror at her that's showing her spooky versions of, I don't know, other people, and the mirror hits her, and that's when the Freaky Fridaying occurs. I don't know. I don't know. There's a bunch of really disjointed aspects of this movie that just don't really seem to tie in or make sense, which again I think kind of comes back to my whole thing of the movie doesn't feel that scary because Kate Hudson spends a lot of time investigating stuff that doesn't really then give us much in terms of understanding what's going on, or doesn't lead us to some kind of spooky conclusion. There's all this stuff with the mirrors, and then she puts some mirrors back up in the house later, and that makes Gina Rowlands mad, and there's that, but that doesn't ultimately affect the outcome that we get to.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on here.
Well, there is a lot of smoking, because Gina Rowlands smokes throughout the movie.
True.
There's really cool black cigarettes.
That she grows that stuff in her garden.
I bet. That chronic.
Okay. There's so many things I want to comment on there.
If I opened a dispensary in the house from this movie, I would call it Vape Hudson. Wait, no, Vape Budson. Vape Budson, that's the one.
Wait a minute. Maybe Kate Budson.
I don't know.
Vape Budson is so far removed from Kate Hudson that you lose the wordplay.
Landon, the name on the Bayou dispensary is not the issue. The issue is the middle of the swamp, far away from any road. This business is going under for a lot of reasons. Let me give it whatever dumb name I want to.
All right. Let's talk about the dark place.
Okay.
The place in every horror film where the bad thing happened. We talked about this before. Here it's the room in the attic. So
yes,
and talk about the fucking titular skeleton key that she's given to the house.
It shouldn't be titular. This is another element that why is it called the skeleton key? There is so little skeleton key.
It's a terrible
shit.
name.
It's a bad
it's a terrible
name.
Agreed.
Call it Spooky Bayou House or like Haunted Hospice, or there's so many more effective names than the skeleton key, an aspect that's barely in there. She is given early on, as stated in my synopsis, a skeleton key. Violet gives it to her, and she explains, when this house was built, they put a different lock on every door, and only the owner of the house gets the key that opens all the locks. That's the skeleton key. Mm-hmm. She goes up to the attic for some damn reason, and there's a door she finds up there that's rattling, but her skeleton key won't work on the door. And then she becomes very obsessed with figuring out what's behind this door.
She's a protagonist in a horror film.
I have a point about that is a thing that really I think centrally upsets me about this movie that I think is a critical failing.
Great.
But anyway, she eventually is able to, I guess, defuck the lock on the door so she can open it with her skeleton key. And it turns out that's the room where Papa Justify and Mama Cecile lived, the servants at the house, and all their hoodoo stuff is up there. So that's the dark place.
That's the dark place. What is your point?
So...
Don't take that out of context. I don't mean why the fuck did you just talk? What was it that you wanted to bring up about it?
Okay.
Because I think that's where I want to go too, and I'm just curious if we have the same point.
She finds this locked door in the attic and is so befuddled that she can't open it with her key. Well, you're in a 300-year-old house in the middle of the swamp. Lots of houses have weird locked doors. I don't know why it's that big of an issue. She then spends so much of her screen time trying to figure out the door, and then trying to figure out the mystery in the attic. Here's the thing. You were hired to be a hospice nurse for John Hurt, this invalid old man. Furthermore, we know that what drives you and motivates you is caring for people as they are dying, helping them to cross over. You have a personal stake in John Hurt, in caring for him, seeing to it that he does not feel abandoned even though he can't talk. Also, we've seen in one of her first nights there, she goes to John Hurt's room and she finds that he's crawled out the window and is crawling across the roof in the rain, trying to escape from the house. And it's this whole thing of I thought he was bedridden. Why is he trying to get out of the house? What's going on? This movie, I think, would be much more effective if a lot more of it was her developing a relationship with John Hurt.
Yeah.
She has these, there's a couple scenes where she's talking to him as she's bathing him or getting him into bed, and it's a one-sided conversation. But I think that dynamic really sets up a way for us to have Kate Hudson talking about what's going on in her head, what she's thinking, and it also sets up a way for like him to silently be trying to get messages to her and them slowly kind of learning to communicate with each other. And then if it's him trying to send these like warning messages to her and that's what's prompting her to investigate stuff, I think that's a scarier movie, and I think that's also a movie that has more like it is rooted in her trying to like be there for this man who's dying, and it's rooted in the thing that motivates her. And instead it's kind of just like, I found a fucked up door. I wonder what that's about.
Nothing in her character has been set up to be investigative or like not be able to let things lie. I will say, like, and it's leaning entirely on genre mechanics in that moment of like the person who walks through the door that you scream at them, don't walk through the door because we need the movie to continue. I will say that it does the bare minimum.
Sure.
In a way that still kind of makes me laugh, but like I think back to Poltergeist, the Poltergeist remake.
Of course.
And the beginning of that when they're going around the house and then just they're in the sunny bedroom and the camera starts pushing in on the closet real scarily and you're like, why? What the? There's no reason for this closet to be scary
normal.
except that we know this is a fucking Poltergeist remake.
Yeah.
At least here, Gina Rowlands does say when Kate Hudson asks her about the door, like, hey, you said my key opens up everything. It doesn't open up this door, which I think plausible up to that point. She hasn't like pressed the subject much. Gina Rowlands does say, oh, well, yeah, the previous owners locked that door and it doesn't open it. And we haven't thought to open it. They've been living there for 40 years and haven't gone into a room of their house. That's suspicious. That's weird. And like, it is the bare minimum to justify going to look. Now, I agree with you. Her character hasn't been set up to do that. But at least the movie's like, there's something suspicious enough about that room to warrant further investigation.
Sure. It establishes there's something suspicious about the room, and it would make sense for her character if going into that room is something that she thinks is going to help John Hurt. Like, it makes sense for her.
Or John Hurt sends her there, like, if you want answers, like, just write, instead of writing help me on his sheets, just write attic or something like that.
Yeah. It wouldn't be that tough, because like that I will totally buy all of her actions in this movie if she's doing it to help him. And honestly, even though, she leaves repeatedly and keeps coming back to the house, so she could escape, she chooses not to. I buy that she doesn't want to leave the man she's been, she's there to help alone. Like, it makes sense that she keeps coming back, I guess. It's just, I don't know. Her relationship with John Hurt is supposed to be the thing that's really tethering her to this whole situation.
Yeah.
And there's a period in the movie where, like, for 20 minutes, like, she's gone back to New Orleans and she's been doing some other stuff. I don't know if she goes to a Hoodoo shop or she's talking to the lawyer for a while. And then she's back at the house and she's doing a bunch of stuff with Gina Rowlands or, like, poking around. And then there's a scene where she's, like, putting John Hurt into bed or something. And I'm like, oh, shit, right. Yeah, she's here to look after John Hurt. I completely forgot that John Hurt was in this movie. That shouldn't happen. Sorry.
But
sorry
then
for partying.
Every time John Hurt shows up, I'm like, oh, John Hurt's in this movie.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He's so good. He's so good.
It's good to get a John Hurt jump scare of just like, oh, there he is. But he's great. He is. Do you think that he is? Do you feel like there is not enough of him in this, or do you feel like that him in this role is an opportunity to showcase some talent?
I mean, I definitely think it showcases his talent. I mean, how do you take a role that has no words on the page and be able to deliver the performance that you do? Like, I think it takes a really experienced actor to look at that and go, well, that's an interesting challenge. He's in 25% of this movie, yet has 3 lines muttered half under his breath. Yeah. How do I make that something that showcases my talent, that contributes to the overarching tapestry of the movie? But the answer to your other question is yes, I want more of him in this movie. I agree. Like, his relationship with Kate Hudson should be central. And you know what it is? It's like, I hate to say this, like, you need to take the hoodoo out of this movie. Like,
yeah.
If it was entirely almost like Kate Hudson is so far secluded in this house with them that she can't leave.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's less she can come and go as she pleases. It's like inconvenient to leave, and you are the caregiver of John Hurt, and you can't leave him alone because he's in such a precarious state that if you do, that's negligence.
Yes. Yeah, she's kind of bound by both duty to stay there and also I very clearly enunciated the T, Landon. You can't get me on that one. I knew what you were gonna do. But it's both it's I am gonna body swap you into something bad. I don't know. I don't have the energy to think of a put down. If this movie was, I'm not just saying this because I love The Shining. This movie could stand to be more like The Shining, and just like she goes there, she's there, it's her, it's Gina Rowlands, it's John Hurt, and the lawyer shows up from time to time. There could be like the lawyer should be in this movie as much as John Hurt is in the movie, and John Hurt should have like a Sarsgaard size performance in this movie.
The thing that this deviates from when it comes to folk horror, and I guess it's not true of all folk horror, but it's usually a person entering a space that they are unfamiliar with or feel unsafe in or is contrary to their views. I guess I'm thinking of like The Wicker Man, where the police officer goes to the island. He can't leave the island. Plus, he is so morally bound to his job that he would refuse to even if he could.
Yeah. And
that keeping him in a place makes him, vulnerable to the whims of the pagan, society that's going to sacrifice him.
Yeah.
That is missing here. Like, I almost wish it was more Lovecraftian, where like Gina Rowlands just had like the fucking Necronomicon rather than Hoodoo, where like I don't need all of the, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with the Hoodoo stuff. It's just in the hands of this, it's like it could have been a much better Hoodoo movie, or it could have been a much better, isolated body swap movie.
Yes, I agree. I love the term isolated body swap movie. Let's make a letterboxd list of those. No, I think that's a really good point. It didn't have to, like, it could be any kind of like
even Get Out. Even Get Out is like he is stuck for the weekend because he wants to impress his girlfriend's parents. That's a relatable way to feel like you're stuck in a place.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, like so much of the Hoodoo stuff in this, it is largely window dressing. Like there is to use as this like supernatural mechanic. Like the movie, because we set the movie in the South, we're gonna have this be the thing. Because it's like, there's a scene early on where she's driving out to the house. She stops at the creepiest gas station, fills up her car. She's going in trying to pay, but there's no one around. And it's like there's chicken bones hanging from the ceiling, and there's brick dust in front of the door. What?
Those are raccoon penises.
Those are raccoon penises?
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait. I'm sorry. That runs against my knowledge of the way penises are anatomically constructed. Do raccoons have bones in there?
I don't know. The penile something or other from a raccoon.
Oh, but how do you know? Wait, did the commentary? This is what you gained from the Blu-ray commentary.
No, he never mentions it. Let me see.
Are you freelancing this yourself? Where are you getting this from then?
Okay, all right, hold on. Raccoon. Okay, penile bones. Yes, the gas station that Caroline visits has a wind chime made of bones hanging from the entryway. They are raccoon penile bones.
Did you just Google raccoon penis to get to, and that was the first result?
No, this is IMDb trivia.
Okay, well, and we know we can trust that. We know they're above board. Okay, they're fossilized raccoon ding-dongs hanging from the ceiling, and she's wandering around, and then she like trying to find someone to pay, and then she gets jump scared by a blind lady carrying a baby, and then this guy comes up and takes her. But it's like there's this whole scene in the gas station, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't contribute anything to the plot or the story of the house.
Atmosphere.
It's just atmosphere of like, ooh, spooky Southern black people magic, which is just kind of like, you know.
This is the exploitative side of the movie for sure.
And it's also just like there's not really jump scares in this movie, and the studio wants one, so we have her be startled by a blind lady with a baby, and it's. Just, I don't know.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, listen, I'm easily startled. But I also, by that point, I'm like, I'm just going to leave my cash on the counter of the gas station and go. I'm not going that deep into the creepy gas. I'm not that committed to civic virtue.
Okay, where were we with this? I felt like we were making a point about something, and I completely lost the thread. Well, I think we covered the attic stuff. I mean, like the dark place. I mean, it's just a horror trope. There's always the thing in which the bad thing happened at, and it's clearly, you know, this is the room where they've been hiding the secrets. This is where all the magic. She finds the record here that she plays that has the incantation that I guess initiates the body swap, but that also it's not used at the end.
Yeah.
Or is it just kind of periphery creepy stuff she finds? What is the point of this record?
I think the record is a recording of the incantation that Papa Justify and Mama Cecile did, and you have to play it while doing all of the other stuff to get it to get the magic to work. What I love about this is she takes this spooky record back to New Orleans and like goes to her exposition friend's house and is playing it on her friend's record player, and it's like, you know, this spooky incantation stuff, and her friend walks in and she quickly like, you know, turns off the record player, and her friend is like, what were you listening to? And Kate Hudson's like, just a local band.
Which, you know, I believe, but worth mentioning that her friend is like afraid of hoodoo.
Yes.
She's a believer, though she doesn't want to admit that. She's, you know, as you said, exposition friend is the one that points her in the direction of a hoodoo shop in the back of a laundromat, in order for Kate Hudson to start getting some of the materials she needs and spells and stuff, the information she needs, the MacGuffins that she needs to start to do a spell of some sort on John Hurt. I kind of... Okay, Kate Hudson's use of magic in this movie, I don't understand what she's trying to achieve whenever she does it. What is she trying to do? She gathers all this stuff, and, you know, she's lighting a candle and putting it in the center of a bowl of water, all this stuff, and tells John Hurt, you just have to believe. Mm-hmm. What is she trying to achieve in that moment?
Well, I think she's found out it's a protection spell, and she thinks the spell is going to protect him. But in fact, I guess what she finds out is you shouldn't have messed with the magic. In fact, it's protecting them from you, so now you're trapped in this spooky circle. I agree. I'm glad to hear that you also weren't really sure what she was doing, because there was a lot of... I just didn't know if it was me or I was tired or something. There were so many bits here where I didn't really fully track what she was doing, or like why she felt like she had to start doing hoodoo rituals in the house. And I think that again plays into my whole point of this movie isn't very scary, because it's like I'm kind of just watching Kate Hudson do stuff and not necessarily knowing why. Like there's a scene she's gone back to New Orleans, they've gone to a very loud nightclub to talk about specific details of hoodoo, and then her friend takes her to, this is the hoodoo shop that my aunt goes to, and they're standing outside, and it's like a laundromat, and they're standing outside, and her friend is like, no, I'm not going to go in there, no, I'm scared to go in there, I'm not going to go in there, and she's roasting her friend for not wanting to go in, and then we just cut to a scene back at the plantation, and for a good 10-15 minutes, I'm assuming like, okay, so they clearly went in, she bought some stuff, and it's going to come out at a relevant time. But no, it's just that literally her friend showed her the hoodoo shop, said, I'm scared to go in. They didn't go. And then later she comes back and buys some stuff at a different point. So I'm never sure what she's achieving or what she's trying to do. So then I can't have this investment in like, I hope nothing spooktacular happens to stop her from doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, I co-sign the confusion of that. And where that leads me is to something we talked about a little bit earlier about Kate Hudson's belief in this. Mm-hmm. She's so quick to discover the hoodoo materials in the attic
right away,
ask a question, learn that hoodoo works off of belief and consent, and suddenly she believes. I mean, like, there's not even a, how does this work? Oh, I gotta believe, and then, like, being skeptical or failing to believe in the right way. She believes and believes that it works.
Yeah.
She's I don't know that I've believed in anything that quickly ever. If I can even say I believe in anything.
Yeah. No, I've never, no one is this credulous. It's really
to the point where at the end, by the time I watched it the second time without the commentary, so technically the third time, once I wrap my head around, like, you're not stupid, Landon. She just is really a believer. She's a believer of this stuff. To the point where Gina Rowlands, you said she was charging at her, but not to correct you, it was just a really badass Gina Rowlands moment. She had fallen down the stairs, broke her legs, and she's crawling on her arms to come at Kate Hudson, and she throws the mirror at her, and the whole exchange there is like, the magic only works if you believe, and as the magic mirror is hurtling at her and Kate Hudson has a knife out at it, she just goes, I just gotta stop believing. Don't believe. And then the mirror crashes into her, and I'm like, is that what you want to hinge your climactic moment on? Is trying to convince yourself you don't believe something? That's such a weird existential and philosophical concept to have to wrap your head around, belief or not belief, to just go, it's not like it's fucking Freddy Krueger where you're just like, you're not real, and then he disappears into the dream ether. This is like you are seeing a Spirit Halloween, spooktacular show happen in this mirror with different spirits coming at you. I don't know, it was very funny to me to just have Kate Hudson go, don't believe.
Well, yeah, because belief hasn't really been a major theme of the movie, and then at the climax of the movie, she's talking about, I don't believe it, and I'm like, sorry, I only just, we only, 2 scenes ago had your friend chastising you for starting to believe in hoodoo stuff, maybe, and you telling her that you didn't. I mean,
the belief is there-ish throughout the film, but it's not a major theme. It's not front and center. And I'm saying, like, you have to make her, a religious figure in order to make it land or anything. But, it needs to be more diegetically tied into who she is as a character.
Yeah, maybe, for example, if when she's driving out to the bayou at the beginning on the radio, Don't Stop Believin' by Journey is playing, and she's listening to that and nodding along and saying, like, you know what? Good idea. I won't stop believing.
This is long before all of the mergers and conglomerates own every single piece of media that exists, and it was expensive to put songs in your movies. Now you would just get any single song you could think of and like, oh, I want this in my movie, and you can have it.
Well,
especially if you're on Netflix.
They do put a song at the end of this movie, and
we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna talk about the song at the end of the movie. So a lot of this movie, I'm kind of just, this is not Wicker Park levels of boring, but there was a point when I checked the runtime and I was like, oh my god, fucking 45 more minutes of this. She's just walking around. She's just walking around a house. It's not even like atmospherically set up. I am all about slow burns, but this movie doesn't really burn. I think it's just slow because it's a lot of her doing kind of detective work, but also there's not a lot. She doesn't have to overcome that much to find things out. Like this concept of the skeleton key set out up front. Every room has a different lock. You and I have the 2 skeleton keys so we can open every door. There's a lot you can do with that where, like, every room has a different lock. You only have a limited number of keys. I have the 1 skeleton key. And there's, like, different rooms she has to find a way to get into. She has to steal the skeleton key, whatever.
And that would fit very nicely into the Gothic, realm in which this movie's clearly playing in Southern Gothic waters. And you're right. It uses the Southern Gothic world just for atmosphere, but none of the fun stuff you can have of walking around a dank house at night with a candelabra.
Yeah, that's also, that would be my second name for the dispensary I'd built there, is Dank House.
Which there are weird moments in this movie where I'm like, how supernatural does the filmmakers want me to think this movie is? Like, as she's approaching the house at the very beginning, there's just a rocking chair moving back and forth on its own.
Yeah. You're on the Universal Studio tour.
It doesn't go full like Evil Dead where it comes to a complete stop right when they get to the door, but it's like, is there a ghost here? Do you want me to think this is a ghost house?
Yeah.
Do you want me to... What do you want me to think?
Yeah, the wood is just really warped in that rocking chair, and it's going back and forth.
Yeah.
There's not that much magic.
Nothing squeaks?
Yeah, no, it's not squeak. There's not creaking floorboards.
No. There's not a chandelier in the foyer that just kind of dangles back and forth.
Yeah. There's just not that much magic going on. The house doesn't feel creepy and haunted.
Yep.
I mean, it has a really horrible history to it, but it's just there's a lot of atmosphere that isn't happening, so I can't really get as amped on... Like, I'm down to just watch Kate Hudson walk around a spooky plantation house for a while, but the house just doesn't... It's generally just like, yeah, this is a house, and yes, there are some, like, body-swapping hoodoo folks living here, and they're doing something that is sort of creepy when you know what's going on, but you don't understand what's actually scary about what's going on until the movie is 2 minutes from the credits.
This is my big note, and I mean, it's not that our Monday morning writing room scenarios have to overlap and work with each other, but to me, like, the body swap thing, which is less of a shock now in a post-Get Out world,
sure,
at the time would have been novel, but I feel like you're missing an opportunity by hinging your movie on a twist of exploring some really interesting thematic territory by pulling a Hitchcock and putting that twist in the center of your film.
Yes.
Because then it's like,
yes,
what are the implications of this? How is Kate Hudson, like, exploring the dynamics of these characters in a way that's, like, not spooky, but, like, this is fucked up. And when I was trying to think of, like, well, what is a movie that wasn't gory, wasn't, Texas Chainsaw, aggro, slow burn, the first one that came to mind for me was House of the Devil. That's a slow ass movie, but when it gets to the turn, it simmers at 2 the whole film, and then it goes to 11.
Yeah.
And this film is like a 5 throughout, and then when it turns up to 7. And to me, like, I'm missing a little bit more dynamic range between these things.
Yes. It never, like, right when it starts to be like, oh, I can see this escalating into a really interesting place, that's when they end the movie. I completely agree with your Hitchcock comparison. This is exactly what I wrote down, that just this should be more of a Psycho thing, where the first half of the movie is her getting to the house, and you compress kind of all of this investigating and figuring out what's going on, and then she gets body swapped, and then the end of the movie is, she's called 911 and she's called her friend to come and help her, and then she gets body swapped, and then in the morning the police arrive, and her friend and roommate, she arrives, and they're talking. So now it's Gina Rowlands' character is in Kate Hudson's body, and she's in there, and at first she doesn't recognize her roommate, and the lawyer, Peter Sarsgaard, is like trying to cover for her, like, oh, she's just under a lot of stress. And then she says something to her like, oh, bless my buttons, I didn't realize that was you this whole time. Yeah, fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks is the word that she uses a lot in this movie. I mean, yeah, that's a completely other way to go. I was thinking Kate Hudson just kind of learns about the body swap halfway through, and then we stay with her. Doesn't matter. Neither of those movies exist, and not what we're talking about. But
yes,
I think to both of our points is, like, there are, I think, more interesting ways of exploring the themes of what this body swap means. That this way of doing it is just about the most basic way they could have gone about it.
Well, yeah, because I think there is just there's not a lot of escalation and there's not a lot of escalating conflict with that. I mean, as soon as we get to that point where it's like, we realize what's happened, her roommate is there being like, why is she acting weird and saying shit she wouldn't normally say? And you've got Gina Rowlands being wheeled out on a stretcher looking desperately at her roommate, like trapped in this body trying to signal to her. And suddenly you've got this sense of like, oh shit, is her roommate gonna figure it out? Like, what are Peter Sarsgaard and Gina Rowlands' character, Violet, like, what are they gonna do to, like, keep this scam running and cover for what's happening?
Yeah.
That is a more interesting setup than everything else that's been given screen time in the movie. And that is this great inversion that would be really fun to see play out. Even if it still ends with her being trapped and they get away with it and everything, it's just, like, that is a lot more interesting and scary. Like, there's a deeper horror there.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I don't know, that's not the movie we got.
No, that's not the movie we got. I wish that was the movie we got.
I do too.
I think that movie would be better.
But, you know what? There's an opportunity now to make that movie.
Like, we're gonna go do that. Keep all the somewhat insensitive usage of hoodoo stuff. Everything else, no. I'm not saying we make it. I'm just saying a person can make it, and the right person can make that movie now. Yeah, I mean, well, look, and they've already done. I mean, the body swap format is being. People keep revisiting that. I mean, certainly you've got Freakier Friday, but then there was also the Vince Vaughn horror body swap movie that was just called, like, Freaky or something, which is like...
Freaky. It's a play on Freaky Friday the 13th.
Okay, so, but, like, I don't know, like, there is a lot of... And then there was some kind of body swap movie, I think with Ed Helms in it, where an entire family, everybody swaps bodies with everybody else.
Oh, wow.
I love that this is a concept that just has so much juice to it that it's like, what are other ways we can do it as a comedy? What are other genres we can put it into? Is there a sci-fi body swap movie yet?
Well, it is an interesting premise because it gets to the heart of, I think, a question so many people have, which is like, is my experience the same experience as other people? Am I alone in this world? What would it be like to inhabit somebody else? Would I have the same experience that I have when I'm in my body?
Yeah.
Like, it plays on such weird existential things that it's so pliable because it taps into the human nature, which is scary and hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has so much utility to be whatever you want it to be.
And I mean, I guess that is why we watch movies and consume culture, is to be like, what is it like to live someone else's experience?
Never forget the Adam Sandler film, The Cobbler, in which every time he wears somebody else's shoes, he walks in their shoes. The most on-the-nose metaphor that a movie has ever metaphored before.
Oh, man. I love it. Just, 10 for them so I can go make Uncut Gems. I think, you know what? I want the crime body swapping movie where it's like, is it the undercover cop who's in deep cover in the mob body swaps with the mob boss, or is it like the guy doing the heist body swaps with who should the guy doing the heist body swap with, or the lady doing the heist?
I want the body swap movie to be someone that the president has put in prison, and then he has to body swap, and then that prisoner is now the president, and the president's in prison.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
And the movie's called President in Prison, and it makes $1 billion on its opening weekend because that's what everyone wants.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. In a way, I bet some fucking up his own ass dad would argue that Heat is kind of a body swap movie, that Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are kind of the same character, and they could swap roles at any given time, and not much would change.
Yeah, if only after getting coffee at that coffee shop they'd peed in the same fountain. The second half of Heat would be very, very different.
And yet, the skull they had in their trunk Not magical at all.
No, you'd think that the police would have pulled him over and opened that up, and then they would have they could have busted him on that and avoided a whole lot of other trouble.
What happens in the Dudley Moore Kirk Cameron one? Or wait, is that the skull one?
What's one? I didn't know there was one where they piss on a skull.
They don't piss on a skull. They both touch a skull at the same time. At sharper image, I want to say.
What the fuck? Okay, you know what? Stop making body swap movies. Freakier Friday is out there. Go see it. It's a delightful romp. But we don't need to keep doing it. Find a new thing.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I completely got lost in the sauce there. I have gone through about 1/10 of my notes, so I'm sure there's stuff I haven't talked about that I would like to. But what else is what are the big things out there that we haven't talked about yet that you want to?
I mean, look, I have some burnt ends that we can cover next week for the mini episode. I don't know. I mean, I think the only other thing I want to talk about is Elvis, unless we want to talk about Elvis next week.
I really want to talk about Elvis.
Okay, well, let's talk about Elvis, starring that guy from Dune.
I was about to chalk this up to, no, Landon, you're reading into shit that just doesn't matter. It's only you thinking about this. It's just complete coincidence that in a movie where white people are inhabited by the spirits of black people, he chooses an Elvis song, a figure of history who has been so wrapped up in the conversation about appropriation of black culture and music. Certainly, he couldn't be making a comment at the end of this movie by using an Elvis song. Landon, come on. You don't even embarrass yourself by bringing it up on the podcast.
Yeah, I would have said that to you if you. I do not think the movie is that deep.
Then I listened to the audio commentary.
Oh no. Oh no, has Skeleton Key gone woke?
No. He doesn't he doesn't say that explicitly. But he does reference Elvis a lot throughout his commentary.
That's just kind of weird in and of itself to just be talking about Elvis a lot.
He says when Peter Sarsgaard shows up, he's like, oh, and he's talking about the scene and how they filmed it that day, weather, blah blah blah, typical production shit. And then he's like, I also like Peter's performance in this. He reminds me of a young Elvis in his early Hollywood movies.
What? Is he he's doing his commentary and he's his lips are smacking. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm eating a fried peanut butter and a banana sandwich right now. Forgive me.
So I'm not saying he's doing it intentionally, but the fact that he's obsessed with Elvis and Elvis appears at the end of this movie and this movie is unintentionally playing with this sort of commentary, I'm not willing to say it wasn't a subconscious thing that happened.
He's from England, though. So he's obsessed. I mean, I'm not saying that English people can't be obsessed with Elvis. It's kind of just that's kind of that makes it tracks more for if you're from this country, where the one Elvis.
We both know people who are Anglophiles obsessed with British monarchy. So
okay, yes,
and he is our king. So.
Yeah, true. It's right there in the name. I should have seen it coming. I mean, yes, it's just always funny when you get it going the other way. The same way that we all know about weebs who are obsessed with anime and stuff, but then you learn about the Japanese people who are obsessed with cowboy stuff. And it's I guess you just never think about it being a two-way street. Yeah. But the song that they play, the Elvis song, If I Could Dream, which, to be fair, banger. Elvis is a good recording artist. I think it's a solid song. Thematically doesn't really tie to the movie at all. It's not really about dreaming. It would make more sense after a Friday the 13th movie. Or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I'm so sorry, Landon.
Are you going to put in one of your corrections again?
Am I going to put... No, because I caught it this time.
Okay, all right.
I felt really bad about misattributing Dennis Rodman to a movie he wasn't in. I'm sorry.
And I felt very bad about attributing the son of Daedalus to Hephaestus in the Body of Lies episode, but
yeah,
here we are.
Both equally highbrow things to fuck up on.
Okay, well then what's your note about Elvis? Just the out-of-place nature of it?
It's not cheap to license a song by Elvis.
Yeah.
And your credits song already, it's like, this isn't like playing into a key scene. It's not thematically important to the movie.
It's song 2 in the credits. It's not even the song that takes us into the credits.
Yeah, isn't song 1 just some kind of spooky instrumental? Like,
It's just the score. Yeah.
Yeah. So Elvis is playing second fiddle to a completely kind of interchangeable score to this movie. Long helicopter shot of the plantation house in the bayou.
Helicopter, not a drone. They didn't
No.
exist yet.
No, and I was watching this very long shot, and I'm like, well, you know what? They cleared airspace for this. They hired a helicopter pilot. Good for you. I don't know. That's all I got. You got more Elvis stuff? Do you like Elvis?
I like Elvis. I've really come to hate Austin Butler, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen I've only seen snippets of the Elvis movie on planes. Everyone looks like they're having a good time in it, so, you know.
The Elvis movie is fascinating. Not that we need to talk about it, but just to your interest in the lore on this show, Lore on the Shore is
Lore of the Shore. That's your new reality show.
That's my new reality show.
It's Oak
we talk
Island.
about Bigfoot while soaking in the sun.
Ooh.
The what if Elvis is what if Tom Hanks played Goldmember?
Wow, you know how to cut right to my heart, Landon. You know how to speak to my experiences.
I know John Travolta plays the cameo in Goldmember as Goldmember,
Sure.
but it's Tom Hanks in reality that plays Goldmember in a movie.
Yeah, so he's constantly pulling sunburned skin off himself and eating it. Is that what you're saying?
Looks maybe not on camera, but like maybe between takes.
That was like
that
that's
character
like,
would do that.
That was like part of the backstory. That's part of his work as an
Yes.
actor that he did for the role.
Yeah.
Bringing that into it. That's what you get. That's what you get with Tom
Gross.
Hanks. Okay, gross.
Truman, why do
Landon.
you think this movie was forgotten?
I think this movie was forgotten because, as I recall from the trailer, it's really trying to sell itself as a horror movie, and it's from the writer of The Ring. And then what you get from this movie is ultimately more of a mystery thriller, and it's not even that thrilling. I think that the studio was trying to sell it as one thing, and the movie actually is a different thing, and I don't think that it does the thing that it's doing especially well, so I don't think it really hung on for people. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm gonna agree with you. I mean, my sentiment is exactly what you said, and I wrote it down, and so I'm gonna read it. But I just want to take a moment to preempt our trailer game next week. I think they're gonna promote it pretty accurately. I just don't think that audiences were up on PG-13, if I have to say it, female-led horror films.
Yeah.
So, I think that's probably why it doesn't hold the ranks of so many other things. Also, I hate to say this too, it's not a franchise.
No, it's not.
You know, so many of these things at the time were like either remaking IPs or setting up a new franchise of its own, i.e. your Rings, your Grudges, your whatevers. So like it just was a one-off thing that existed. Now, what I had written to reemphasize what you said was like, I think the audience, this is way too subtle for what the audience was expecting or wanting, I should say.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the trailer's deceptive, but I think they wanted big scares. I think they wanted totally fucked up things. But
oh sure.
You know, because this is the post 9/11 era where I think there was a certain expectation of like, I have shit I got to work through, and I need my horror films to do that for me. This is not doing that at all.
Yeah.
It's way too subtle for it. And going back, I think there was the stigma of the PG-13 horror film that probably hurt it in the long run. It might have gotten people, in the theater, the wider release of it being PG-13 got that $93 million, box office take, but wasn't enough to like get people to return to it.
Yeah.
Like, with the big scary spook 'em ups or the gores, the fun often is, I gotta show this to somebody else.
Yeah, I gotta bring someone
and you're
back.
not doing that.
Yeah.
You're not doing that with Skeleton Key, which is a shame, because I think that for me, and this is going to segue into whether we should send this back to modern memory or leave it forgotten. I would not refute anything you said about this not being scary. For me, like, there's plenty of scary shit out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm just
turn on the news. Sorry.
You're trying to get us all stuck in a dad trap, and we're not going to fall for it. I'm going into it with open eyes.
We fall into those a lot anyway.
I appreciate that this doesn't have to be a, like, in-your-face scary film. That it could just kind of be a you know, kind of thriller, supernatural thriller of the week.
Yeah.
And I can kind of just vibe with that a little bit. I don't, like, it doesn't take any effort to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I could put it on. I've watched it 3 times. I would have no problem putting it on again. Like, it just, I'm glad that type of film can exist. I wish more did exist now. I feel like if you're going to go in this direction, it's got to have a gimmick. If you're not going to be gory, if you're not going to be, you know, aggro about it, then, like, what's your big trick?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is just straight down the line.
Yeah. Look, I agree. Look, I celebrate a movie being an original concept, and I guess, and yeah, I'm absolutely supportive of a movie not being, I'm gonna go in the gore lane, I'm gonna go in the fucked up lane. I guess I just wish it had been like, we're just gonna be atmospheric. Like, I wish this could be a movie to have on in the background at a party, but sadly there's just not really imagery in here that I feel like is, like, evocative enough to make that, like, this isn't a movie you can watch with the sound off and still kind of, like, catch a strong vibe from it, you know? That's dumb criteria to evaluate a movie on. I'm not saying that's the reason.
Hey, it's your choice.
Yeah. This violin sucks. I can't beat myself over the head with it and go unconscious.
So yeah, does that mean you're sending it back or forgetting it?
I'm gonna forget it. I'm sorry. I've already forgotten a lot of it. It didn't do it for me, but I get the sense that maybe we won't be unanimous in our verdict.
Well, I'm torn, and I want to just take a second to discuss. We don't have to have the same criteria, but what does it mean when we send something back or when we leave it forgotten? Sometimes it's obvious, and we both just, like, no one needs to fucking know that this movie exists.
Yeah.
But, like, I struggle with this film because I'm like, okay, in the horror pantheon, in the thriller pantheon, in the supernatural pantheon, is this doing anything that any others aren't? Yeah, not really. But is it a fun enough time? Yeah. I don't think you would be disappointed. If you are predisposed to like a movie like this and you haven't seen it before and you rented it for a Friday night, like, I think it should be in that rotation.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about your criteria. What do you think of when you're deciding to send something back or not?
I'm honestly trying to think in terms of if I would tell someone that, hey, this is actually worth watching, or, like, people forgot about this one, but it's, you know, even if I'm not giving an unqualified recommendation, like, this movie kind of sucks, but it's interesting. I didn't find this movie particularly interesting. I thought long stretches of it were really just losing me completely. I just didn't have a lot of investment or interest in what was happening, and so I just am kind of like, I don't know what I would pull out from this and say, hey, this is a fun thing to watch. Something like Barnyard, which I recommended we send back. It's like, that movie's not good, but it's unhinged in an interesting way. This movie is very hinged in an uninteresting way. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Do
you have different criteria that I'm not clued into?
I don't know. I that's the problem, is I feel like my criteria changes every time, every movie.
That's why I got to keep listening.
For horror films, particularly, I'm like, okay, does this stand up to the horror pantheon? No, it does not. But why should that be the criteria?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm leaning toward and am going to commit in this moment to sending it back to modern memory.
Whoa.
I'm like, this is a well-made film. Compared to the, like, crap that we have to watch sometimes, the half-edited, you know, messy studio note sort of films.
Sure.
This, from start to finish, it makes sense. It has these things in it that we always complain about not being there. And, like, it has good performances by great performers across the board. There's enough here that I think is worth remembering.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying put it on ahead of X, Y, and Z if you haven't seen the big things in the horror film yet, or the horror field yet, but if you have interest in seeing the Skeleton Key, I think it's worth remembering and putting in rotation.
Okay. You know what? Look, you have more experience with the horror community than I do. Whether or not we can quibble over whether you live there, you know more about the subject than me. You've seen a lot more of these movies than I have. So if you like horror movies, take Landon's take. If you were more like me, watch the rundown again.
I mean, don't go into the Skeleton Key thinking it's going to be a Fulci movie, but there's something interesting in it.
And don't go into the Skeleton Key thinking that The Rock is going to dive through a wall and start punching ghosts or something, because sadly he does not.
No. The Rock in a horror movie, just a Rock in a horror movie. I'm sure there's plenty of them. The Rock in a horror movie. I don't know that would work.
I don't know. I mean, I'd give him a chance, I guess. I mean, he wouldn't take that because he's too image obsessed now. But if like it's 2003 and Vince McMahon tells him like, hey, we're gonna put you in a horror movie, I feel like The Rock would really make a go of it, and it would be cool, and I'd see it.
I can't even imagine the scenario that he would be in though.
I mean, we'd simply just have to find a bigger dude who's threatening him. And again, this is my desire this season, to just get all the biggest, muscliest dudes into one movie and just have them fight, I guess. Maybe I'm just going to like wrestling after this.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess join us next week when we cover any loose ends from our discussion about the Skeleton Key. Until then, for Truman Caps, I have been Landon Solano.
And for Landon Solano, as Landon Solano, I'm Truman Caps. Stay safe, everybody. Don't swap bodies.
Whoa!
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. For more information on today's show, visit moviememorymachine.com.